Hi guys, how are you all? This is FJ What If. Today we are going to discuss about what if Naruto was king of Shaman and had Spirit of Fire Part 9. Before we start the episode, please like and subscribe my channel. Chapter 9. Finding Tsunade. Naruto grunted as he received a painful punch to the stomach from Jiraiya that threw him back. He ignored the pain in his gut as he regained his balance, going back into a defensive position of Seireikan, right hand forward, palm open to catch or divert any blows, left hand cocked to his hips for quick attacks, left leg forward while he back leg bracing itself for both dodging and balance. They were on the road for 2 days now, going towards the bird country where Tsunade was currently holed up for a poker tournament. Due to Naruto's insistence, they made a stop midway to their destination for him and Jiraiya to have a bit of a training session, taijutsu only. Despite being a powerful shaman, Naruto was also well versed in martial arts, but his body couldn't catch up to his knowledge of Seireikan, House style of hand-to-hand combat inspired by the elements. Such was the case. The only way to counter this was to face stronger opponent to hone his strength, reflexes, and fighting instincts while gaining experience. Naruto and Jiraiya were currently going at it while Kakashi, Guy, and Genins of Team 9 were watching from a safe distance. "You're getting better, Naruto. You don't take that long to recover from a blow and your defensive stance is quite good," comment Jiraiya as he studied Naruto's form. His Seireikan was a formidable taijutsu after the blonde informed him of its intricacies. The form itself was categorized into different separate parts for offense, defense, evasion, counterattack, and endurance. If Naruto perfect this style, then he would be a demon in the battlefield without his shamanic abilities. "I'm getting better but not perfect yet, Godfather," Naruto retorted as he lunged, releasing a barrage of palm thrusts and fists at Jiraiya, who was on the defensive, dodging or blocking the blows to gauge Naruto's attack and to find holes he could exploit. To his chagrin, he couldn't find any, so he was forced to continue to block and evade until the boy makes a mistake. Naruto overextended a palm thrust that Jiraiya exploited. The Toad Sage grabbed Naruto's wrist and casually threw him over his shoulder, though Naruto was ready as he flipped gracefully in the air and landed on his feet without a sound before charging at Jiraiya again to continue his attack. The two continued the spar for 15 more minutes before Jiraiya was able to throw Naruto to the ground, grappled an arm that was becoming too painful to ignore. "All right, I give," said Naruto, sighing in relief when Jiraiya let go of his arm. The pain subsided, but it was still there when the experienced shinobi pulled at it. "How did I fare this time?" "Not bad. As you said, you are getting better, but your style is far from perfect. You need to be more unpredictable since you tend to switch from offense to defense, evade then back to attack. If you want to master Seireikan, then you need to switch between your stances in a split second to leave the enemy unbalanced while focusing a bit more on speed and accuracy since you're lacking in those two," Jiraiya noted as he held out a hand to help Naruto off the ground. "All in all, I would say you are mid to high chunin in taijutsu. I didn't rate you high enough since you need more strength, speed, and precision. I suggest weight training if given the chance and continuous sparring to develop your accuracy and movement flow." "I'll keep that in mind," Naruto said dryly as he swung his arms around to get the stiffness out of his muscles. "Our fight with the Rock Biter Brigade was an eye-opener for me. If I want to be a powerful shaman, then I need to better protect myself without depending on my shamanic techniques, since it is quite possible that there is someone out there who has the power to negate it. Sure, it gets the job done faster, but I see it as a crutch than an actual victory." "You're thinking like a shinobi, Gaki," Jiraiya smirked. "Thinking of changing careers?" "Hardly. I'm happy being a shaman, but I can't deny the fact that doing missions has its appeal," Naruto said with a smile. "Maybe I'll ask Gigi for some out-of-the-village missions once in a while. Being a shaman can be boring. Our trip and fight at the Iowa border to retrieve Dan and Nawaki's spirit was a rush that I wouldn't mind doing again." "That it does. Nothing gets the blood flowing than a few good fights," Jiraiya said sagely. "I'm sure Sensei wouldn't mind putting you on a team, though I'm sure that he'll place you on a genin team first to train your ability to work in a team. You'll move up the ranks as you gain experience. I'll talk to Gigi about it once I get back to the village," Naruto quipped as they made their way back to the group, who was already setting up camp since it was already getting late. "Time sure flies when you're getting your ass handed back to you. Any news from your spy network?" "Tsunade is still in bird country. She is staying in a hotel called Birds of Paradise, which is beside the casino where the poker tournament is going to be held. Since we already know of her location, it wouldn't take that long to meet up with her. Jiraiya answered. That's good. The sooner we get this done, the sooner I can back to my travels. Naruto said happily. The trip to find Tsunade was fun and all, but it was tiring since this was similar to a mission. Not his idea of fun, but the fights were welcome. Where are you going afterwards? Jiraiya asked in curiosity. I'm not sure. I was thinking maybe Demon Country. I heard there is a shrine there dedicated to a priestess with the ability to see the future. It is somewhat similar to shamanic divination, so I want to see if she is the same as me. Naruto admitted as they reached the camp and rummaged around the pack he bought from the trade station a few miles back for a fresh towel. He got one for himself and another for Jiraiya, who accepted it gratefully. I visited the country a few times when I started my spy network. Nothing much to see if you're sightseeing, but the shrine is definitely a good place to visit. In fact, her ability to foretell the future is absolute and has saved the country a few times in the past. Jiraiya told Naruto, who listened in apt interest. I also heard that she has the ability to exorcise evil spirits, so it is quite possible she is a shaman like yourself. Great. Naruto grinned. Any idea how to get to Demon Country? Jiraiya thought for a bit, recalling the geography before answering. The easiest way to get there is to take a ship from T Country to Nagi Island. From there, you take a merchant's ship to Demon Country. If you luck out, then I suggest you rent a vessel instead. Considering how rich you are, I don't think you'll have problems getting one for your use. How long will it take to go there by boat? Naruto asked, wincing a bit at the idea of staying long at sea. He had no problems with boats, but it would be very boring doing nothing but staying on the boat. T Country to Nagi Island would take 3 days at most if the weather holds. From there to Demon Country, it should take 2 to 3 days. So give or take a week if the weather cooperates. Naruto sighed. A week at sea is going to be pretty boring. He might have to buy some books at T Country or Nagi Island to give him something to do. He perked up when he realized that he still has to study about chakra, since he can use Kurama's chakra to supplement his inability to mold his own. I guess there's no helping it, Naruto said while making a face, making Jiraiya chuckle before patting him on the back. He was about to freshen up when the genins of Team 9 appeared in front of him. What can I do for you three? He asked the trio in confusion. Naruto-sama, please spar with us. Lee shouted, with Guy backing him up with a loud exclamation of, youth. Naruto sighed as he nudged at the trio towards the clearing. He won't be resting anytime soon, judging by the excited gleam in Team 9's eyes. An evil grin appeared on his face. This spar might not be a good idea, since he had pent-up frustration from Jiraiya's tender loving care to dish out. The evil cackle he let out scared the shit out of Team 9, making them doubt if it was a good idea to ask for a spar from the Shaman of Konoha. Bird Country is considered as minor country between Wind Country and Earth Country, with the capital only quarter of the size of the capital of Fire Country. Also, Naruto was somewhat confused why the place was named Bird Country when he couldn't find any bird in sight. It was downright mind-boggling. However, one positive note about Bird Country is its geomantic advantage. The land was positively teeming with natural energy that made him shiver. His theories were further cemented when they entered the capital and observed the wonderful alignment of the elements that made up the city. So, where are we going? Naruto asked his godfather, who was looking down at the capital with speculation. You guys are going to check in at the Birds of Paradise. Knowing Tsunade, she should either be in a casino or in a bar somewhere for a drink. I'll find her and bring her up to your room so you can have Dan and Nawaki talk to her. Jiraiya told Naruto, who nodded in agreement. After all, it was not a good idea to materialize Ghost in the middle of a busy street. Right, Naruto agreed before turning to the rest of his entourage. Alright group, we are going to the Birds of Paradise and wait for Jiraiya. Speaking of which, he turned to Jiraiya, who was preparing to leave. Where is the hotel located anyway? Jiraiya pointed down to the capital. See that building over there with the blue roof? The 3-story one? Asked Naruto when he followed where Jiraiya was pointing. Yes, that's the one. That's the hotel you're looking for. Jiraiya confirmed. The place is the most expensive in the city, but I'm sure you can afford it. Naruto glared at his godfather before sighing in resignation. Fine. Well, Let's go. I want to take a nice long soak since we haven't stopped traveling for 2 days. Naruto exclaimed as he hurriedly followed the path into the city with Team 9 and Kakashi following him. It didn't take long for Jiraiya to find Tsunade. Really, the woman's reputation as the legendary sucker outshined her skills in the medical field. It didn't help that it was easy to spot a woman sporting a large rack accompanied by an assistant carrying a pig. After a few inquiries, an old woman directed her to a local bar frequented by shady characters. Jiraiya entered the establishment to find Tsunade nursing a bottle of sake. Shizune was beside her sipping tea while their pet pig, Tauntaun, lay sleeping on the floor. Tsunade, fancy meeting you here of all places. Jiraiya loudly greeted his teammate. His loud proclamation earned him a glare from the blonde Sannin. What are you doing here, Jiraiya? I told you before, I will not return to Konoha no matter how much sensei begs me to. Tsunade growled before taking another long drink from the bottle. You're not even happy to see me, Haim. I'm hurt. Jiraiya faked a hurt look on his face, one hand over his heart as if it was in pain. This earned him a sour look from the medical expert. Cut the crap, Jiraiya. I suggest you leave before I punt your perverted ass from here to Suna. Tsunade threatened. Maybe we should hear him out, Tsunade-sama. Pleaded Shizune with Tauntaun oinking in agreement. Jiraiya sent the girl a thankful nod while the pig bristled at being ignored. I don't need to listen to anything he has to say. Tsunade grumbled before taking another long drink. Even if you're given a chance to speak to Dan and Naoki again. Jiraiya told the woman who crushed the bottle in her hands as her hand tightened into a fist, spraying sake all over the table. Don't you dare mock me, Jiraiya. My suffering is not your entertainment. Growled Tsunade, her temper rising. How dare he bring up those two? I am not mocking you, Tsunade. Said Jiraiya, no longer in a playful mood that made Tsunade quirk up an eyebrow. I think you heard of Konoha having a shaman, correct? Yeah, I heard. A bunch of hogwash if you ask me. Tsunade scoffed. I think it's a propaganda made by sensei to scare the other elemental nations from attacking the village. Jiraiya shook his head in annoyance, earning a startled look from Tsunade and Shizune. Jiraiya was never annoyed, perverted yes, annoyed definitely not. I am not joking, Tsunade. The shaman is real and has proven his skills that even the fire daimyo took note of it and spread his name throughout the courts of nobility. So you're telling me that you want me to go back to Konoha so this shaman can bring back Dan and Naoki? No technique can bring back the dead, Jiraiya. Tsunade all but screamed, causing Jiraiya to shake his head and took a seat beside the fuming woman. No, the shaman you are referring to is currently in the Birds of Paradise. We stopped by Iowa to gather the souls of Dan and Naoki. Your fiancé and brother's spirit is currently residing in a makeshift altar and he will use his powers to manifest them for you to talk to. What's the purpose of calling them back? Tsunade whispered, disbelief in her tone, but there was an underlying of hope there since she really wanted to talk to her brother and lover. Konoha needs you, Haim. Sensei needs you. He needs our help to fix Konoha and only you, the Senju princess, can do the things that needed to be done. I have to beseech Naruto to use his skills to give you a sense of closure. Is that it? You did all this for me to go back to Konoha? Tsunade glared at her former teammate. Who is this Naruto anyway? Asakura Naruto, formerly Uzumaki Naruto, is the shaman I'm talking about. Jiraiya said in a whisper, earning a startled look from Tsunade. She recognized the name, hard not to, considering that she was an Uzumaki herself. And to answer your question, Sensei didn't tell me to contact Naruto for you. I was the one who asked Naruto to bring Dan and Naoki back for a short time to talk to you. I know you are still hurting, Haim, and I am only trying to help. Even if you don't return to Konoha after talking to them, that is fine. I'll be happy to know that you are back to your usual self. Tsunade was quiet after hearing Jiraiya's words. She sniffed as a lone tear escaped her eye. Why are you doing this, Jiraiya? Asked Tsunade in a barely audible whisper. It's the least I can do for the only girl I love. Jiraiya replied before standing up from his seat and placing a wad of cash in front of the barman. This should pay for her drinks. He turned to Tsunade, who was now crying a river. If you're interested in talking to Dan and Naoki, Haim, you know where to find me. Was all he said before leaving the bar, leaving behind a crying Tsunade being consoled by her assistant. Naruto sat in a lotus position on his bed in a rented suite in the Birds of Paradise. He took advantage of the peace by honing his reishi, unlike Hao, who didn't do a thing to gain control of the ability that eventually drove him to a path of genocide. Reishi was the ability to feel and read the hearts of any living beings, bearing the truth of their life for him to feel and read. This was the reason why Hao cast his humanity aside. Constantly absorbing the negative emotions and thoughts of everyone around him caused him to snap. This started his ambition to become the Shaman King and create a world for shamans. However, thanks to Yo and his group, Hao realized his own humanity and gave humanity a second chance. Naruto, however, wasn't affected by the ability. Thanks to being exposed to the hate of the villagers at a young age, he adapted to it by subconsciously creating a barrier in his heart. This was one of the reasons why he didn't go berserk when his shamanic abilities activated. Also, upon realizing this ability during his awakening as a shaman, he immediately took advantage of his year of reprieve to hone it since his reishi is always active. Naruto entered his center as he let his reishi reach out to the thoughts and emotions of everyone around him. He could hear the cries of the poor, the greed of the rich, the happiness of families, and anger of the unjust. He didn't let the thoughts and emotions enter him like what Hao did. No, Naruto stopped them from entering and influencing him, choosing instead to sort through it like a person watching a movie and organizing the scenes. The blonde shaman curiously stretched out his reishi to the limits, astounded that it almost encompassed the entirety of the town they were staying in. He could feel Guy and Kakashi on the roof of the hotel arguing about spandex suits. The genins of Team 9 were in the restaurant enjoying a hearty lunch. He could feel Jiraiya's emotions towards Tsunade, the man's unconditional love to the woman who only saw him as a friend. He understood Tsunade's heartache, the betrayal of the village when it went to war, resulting in her brother and lover's death. While eyes closed, Naruto frowned as he focused on Tsunade's emotions. Tsunade is really a mess. He mentally told the spirits in front of him, Dan and Naoki, whom he brought out of their respective tablets to wait for Tsunade to come to him. She's lucky that all the negative emotions she bottled up didn't end up turning her into a demon. It's a good thing that you shinobi are used to strife, or the Tsunade you know wouldn't exist anymore. Nei-chan has always been emotional. Did you know that she was against me being a shinobi at first? Naoki told the two. Naruto gave him a mental shake of his head while Dan nodded. She wasn't always that way. However, she changed when his grandfather and granduncle died. She was very close to them since her parents died when she was born. Dan said sadly. That was the main reason why she became a medic. She studied every medical text she could find and trained herself non-stop so she could save everyone she loves. I guess our death was what triggered her abandonment of Konoha. She needs a good kick, if you ask me. Naoki harumphed, his arms crossed over his chest. I can't believe she sucks at gambling. Grandfather and granduncle weren't that bad. As if you're any better. Dan said, raising an eyebrow at the petulant ghost child beside him. I remember the time you lost a bet in your last year in the academy. I think that was the reason why you came home clad only in your boxers. Hey, it's not my fault that they cheated in a bet, Naoki exclaimed in indignation. They didn't cheat. The Chunin instructor who saw the whole thing said that there was no cheating involved. Dan smirked. Admit it, Naoki-kun, your sister is not the only one with the bad luck. Naoki didn't say anything but gave the man a raspberry tongue. No wonder Tsunade loves you both. Despite irritating each other, you still show enough love and compassion towards your loved ones that it would scare an Oni into a conniption fit. Naruto said out loud, already done with his daily meditation and making sure that his reishi wasn't running amok. He got out of the bed and went to the corner to retrieve his staff. I'm going out to do a bit of sightseeing, he told the ghosts. Do you want to come with me? The two nodded as they followed Naruto, who exited the room and locked the door behind him, intent on seeing the sights before meeting an emotional Tsunade later on. End of Chapter 9.